The comfort of familiar recipes. It's strange, isn't it, how the scent of something as simple as baking bread can transport you back in time. One whiff of yeast blooming in warm water, the dusty cloud of flour rising from a countertop, and suddenly I'm a child again, standing on a wobbly stool in my grandmother's kitchen. Her hands dusted white like a baker's ghost would move with a certainty that seemed magical, kneading and folding, transforming a sticky amorphous blob into something with promise, something that would, in the warmth of the oven, become our daily bread. That kitchen was the heart of our home, a place where anxieties were smoothed out, like dough, and worries dissolved in the simmering alchemy of her pots and pans. The recipes she used weren't written down in a leather-bound book with gilded edges. They were etched into her memory, passed down through generations, a language spoken in pinches and dashes, in the feel of the dough and the color of the crust. There is a profound, almost primal comfort in these familiar recipes. They are more than just a list of ingredients and a set of instructions. They are edible heirlooms, narratives told in flavor and texture. Each dish is a chapter in a much larger family saga. The hearty beef stew we ate every first snowfall wasn't just a meal. It was a ritual, a declaration that we were ready to face the winter, huddled together against the cold. The slightly too sweet apple pie, with its imperfect, crumbly crust, tasted of autumn afternoons, of laughter echoing through the orchard, and the satisfying thud of apples dropping into a wicker basket. These recipes are our anchors, mooring us to our past and connecting us to the people we've loved. In a world that often feels chaotic and relentlessly new, the act of recreating a familiar dish is a way of reclaiming a piece of a simpler, perhaps gentler, time. It's a way of saying, this is who I am, this is where I come from. When I moved away for college, I took with me a small, spiral-bound notebook. In it, my grandmother had painstakingly written down a few of her most cherished recipes. Her handwriting, a beautiful, looping cursive, was a comfort in itself. The first time I tried to make her tomato sauce, alone in my tiny dormitory kitchen, the result was a disaster. It was watery and acidic, a pale imitation of the rich, complex sauce I remembered. I had followed the recipe to the letter, but I had missed the secret ingredient, her touch, her intuition, the years of practice that allowed her to know, just by a sniff or a stir, what the sauce needed. But I persisted. I kept trying, and with each attempt, I got a little closer. I learned that the pinch of sugar was more generous than I'd thought, and that letting the onions caramelize slowly, patiently, was non-negotiable. The process became a conversation with her memory. Each successful pot of sauce felt like a small victory, a way of keeping her close even though we were miles apart. It wasn't just about feeding myself. It was about nourishing my soul, about recreating the feeling of her kitchen, that sanctuary of warmth and love, in my own small space. This connection through food is a universal language. It transcends cultural and geographical boundaries. We all have our own version of my grandmother's tomato sauce. For some, it might be the intricate spice blend of a family curry, a recipe so secret it's only whispered from one generation to the next. For others, it could be the specific way to fold a dumpling, a technique taught by a patient parent, the rhythmic pleating, a form of meditation. It might be the exact temperature for frying chicken to achieve that perfect, shattering crust, or the precise resting time for a holiday roast. These culinary traditions are the threads that weave through the fabric of our identities. They are the centerpiece of our celebrations, the comfort in our times of sorrow, and the everyday backdrop to our lives. When we share these recipes, we are doing more than just sharing food. We are sharing a piece of ourselves, our history, our love. In our modern obsession with novelty, with molecular gastronomy and deconstructed classics, there's a risk of losing touch with this simple, profound power of familiar food. We chase new flavor combinations and innovative techniques, which is exciting and creative in its own right. But sometimes, in the quest for the next big thing, we forget the deep, quiet satisfaction of the things we already know and love. We forget the solace found in a simple bowl of chicken noodle soup when we're sick, a taste that feels like a warm hug from the inside out. We overlook the joy of a perfectly baked chocolate chip cookie, a recipe memorized from the back of a yellow bag, that tastes of childhood and after-school snacks. There is no Michelin star for a perfectly grilled cheese sandwich, but the comfort it provides on a rainy day is immeasurable. These humble dishes are the bedrock of our culinary lives. They don't need to be reinvented or elevated. Their power lies in their consistency, in their ability to deliver the same comforting experience time and time again. The act of cooking a familiar recipe is, in itself, a form of mindfulness. The rhythmic chop of vegetables, the sizzle of garlic in hot oil, the patient stirring of a sauce, these actions pull us into the present moment. The kitchen becomes a space free from the digital noise and relentless pace of the outside world. Your hands are busy, your senses are engaged, and your mind is focused on the task at hand. It's a practical, productive form of meditation. As you follow the well-worn steps of the recipe, your body remembers the movements, a kind of muscle memory that is both calming and empowering. You are not just following instructions, you are participating in a tradition, a dance that has been performed countless times before. And the reward is tangible. At the end of it, you have not only created something delicious, but you have also carved out a moment of peace for yourself, a small pocket of order in a disordered world. And then there is the sharing. The true magic of these familiar recipes is fully realized when they are shared with others. To cook for someone is a fundamental act of care. It's a way of saying I love you, I'm thinking of you, I want to comfort you, without using any words at all. When we bring a casserole to a grieving friend, we are offering more than just a meal. We are offering sustenance for the body and the soul, a tangible expression of our support. When we gather the family for a Sunday roast, we are reinforcing bonds, creating new memories around a shared, familiar taste. These meals become the backdrop for our most important conversations, our loudest laughter, and our quietest moments of connection. The dinner table, laden with familiar dishes, becomes a sacred space, a place where we can be our most authentic selves, nourished and supported by the food and the people around us. Perhaps the most beautiful aspect of these recipes is that they are not static. While they provide a comforting link to the past, they also evolve with us. Each time we cook a family recipe, we add our own small mark. Maybe we discover we prefer a little more spice, or we substitute one ingredient for another based on what's available. A daughter might adapt her mother's brisket recipe for a slow cooker to fit her busy schedule. A son might add a new herb to his father's famous chili, creating a version that is uniquely his own. In this way, the recipes stay alive. They breathe and change with each new generation, absorbing new influences and adapting to new lifestyles, yet still retaining the essence of the original. They are a living history, a story that is constantly being retold and reinterpreted, a legacy that we not only inherit but also contribute to. The comfort of familiar recipes, then, is not just about looking back. It's about carrying the best of our past with us into the future, one delicious, comforting, and love-filled meal at a time.